Thank you, Faye. Good evening, everybody. This is a date many of you will have had scribbled in your diaries for some time now, and it's sadly already been a Super Saturday here on Talk Sport. The pubs opened their doors a few days too late for Chelsea fans wanting to drown their sorrows after Wednesday's last gasp defeat to West Ham. A couple of Watford's players have already done too much partying during lockdown for Nigel Pearson's liking. And while there'll be some sore heads across the country tomorrow morning, unless the Hornets can arrest a run of only one win in 10 matches, their hangover could last long into the summer. Closing time in the Premier League has been delayed this year, but by the time last orders are finally called, will Chelsea still be in the top four, and will Watford have avoided the cellar door into the Championship? Matt Holland is alongside me, and Matt, we should have a bit more clarity on those questions at the end of these 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's a big evening for Chelsea, particularly with the way that results have gone today, with Leicester and Man United both winning, and for the first time since October, they've dropped out of the top four, so it's added pressure on them to try and get 3 points and get themselves back into the Champions League places. Watford are in a position where they're fighting for their lives. I mean, they've been fortunate really that the teams below them don't look like picking up a point, and that's kept them out of the bottom three because they haven't been in good form, and they've had a few problems off the field, ill discipline, etc. So this is a big game for them as well. You know, this is a game that perhaps they wouldn't anticipate to get too much from, but they want to put in a good performance, and with the 3 games coming up, they won't want to go into it on the back of a hiding here, so it's important that they put in a performance tonight for their manager.
Yeah, being the last match of the day brings its own added pressures, while Manchester United's demolition of Bournemouth will have been welcomed in the away dressing room. It has, as Matt has already articulated, cost Chelsea momentarily at least their place in the top four. How much attention will the two sets of players have been paying to results up and down the country over the course of the afternoon?
I haven't necessarily been in, once I was in contention for a Champions League place, and you do keep an eye on those results. It's worse when you're at the bottom. You know, you come in usually after a game and you look straight away at the results around you, teams around you, and they would have focused on that. And that it would have been a big bonus for them, seeing Bournemouth get beaten heavily, and they'll fancy their chances this evening. But yeah, you're always looking at other results around you.
In terms of the team news, Frank Lampard making no fewer than 4 alterations from that West Ham reverse. Out go Rudiger, Alonso, Kovacic, who's injured, and Tammy Abraham, Reece James, Kurt Zouma, Mason Mount reinstated in midfield, and Olivier Giroud, the players who come in. A trio of alterations as far as Watford are concerned, to the team that lost heavily at home to Southampton last time out. Mariappa and Cabaselli in at the back for Cathcart and Messina, while Nathaniel Chalabar returns in midfield, with Roberto Pereira dropping to the bench, and Andre Gray, having broken lockdown regulations by hosting his birthday celebrations, is also back on the bench. The 2 sets of players lined up ready for kick-off. The referee this evening is Kevin Friend. Of course, upon his first whistle, both sets of players, coaching staff and subs will take a knee as the support for the Black Lives Matter movement continues. Watford in their yellow jerseys, black shorts and yellow socks, shooting from left to right, attacking the Matthew Harding stand in this first half. Chelsea, who rolled out a new strip this week, same colours though, blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks, shooting from right to left, attacking the shed end of the ground where the travelling Hornets faithful would usually be situated. Driving into the ground today to see 1 or 2 Chelsea fans, Matt, in the local hostilleries, no doubt taking in the action. Very much here in spirit, but it continues to be a very eerie atmosphere. This vast, empty arena, as the 2 sets of players do drop to their knees. Troy Deeney, the Watford captain, of course, has been a very vocal part of the Black Lives Matter movement. Here we go then. The last of our live commentaries here on game day. Another frenetic afternoon in the Premier League. It was a year ago today that Frank Lampard was appointed Chelsea manager. In that time they've beaten Liverpool and Manchester City. They've been mainstays in the top 4 and reached the FA Cup semi-finals, but it is this type of fixture where they have come up short on more than one occasion. having seen Manchester United go above them earlier this afternoon, Lampard will be desperate to ensure Watford don't add their names to the list of struggling sides who have won at Stamford Bridge on his watch. We are off and underway here on Talk Sport. Chelsea in possession inside their own penalty area with Andreas Christensen, who clears long right-footed. What type of game are we expecting, Matt Holland?
Well, I mean, Watford need a reaction. Their recent results have been so poor. They need to do something. And straight away from kick-off, I noticed Troy Deeney there putting Christensen under real pressure. I think that's something that Nigel Pearson would have said to his side. And let's put this back four under some pressure. I know they've made a couple of changes, as Piliqueta to left back and Zuma coming in as well at the expense of Antonio Rudiger. But after conceding 3 goals against West Ham, he'd say we need to really get at Chelsea. So I think early on we'll see them trying to put some pressure on them at the back. Chelsea will... they've got some terrific players, and certainly in forward positions, Willian and Pulisic I've been really impressed with since the restart. I think they'll just play the way that we usually see Chelsea play, but I think we should see a higher tempo performance from Watford.
Yeah, just to run you through the 2 lineups for those of you maybe just tuning in after an afternoon in your local pub, or maybe queuing for a haircut. Kepa Arrizabalaga, the goalkeeper for Chelsea. It's James, Christensen, Zuma and Azpilicueta in defence. Barkley, Conte and Mount the midfield with Willian and Pulisic, those 2 informed players that Matt's already spoken about, alongside Olivier Giroud in attack for Watford. It's Foster in goal, Mariappa, Cabaselli, Dawson and Firmino in defence. Chalobah and Capoue deepest in midfield, with Sarr, Decore and Will Hughes in a more advanced role behind Troy Deeney in attack. Will Hughes there with the bright blonde hair, just playing it back to Foster inside the 18-yard box.
It's interesting what I say about tempo, because Craig Shakespeare was on his interview just before the game kicked off, and he was saying that's been one of the most difficult things. He's trying to raise the tempo for the players without the supporters inside the ground. But they're going to have to find a way tonight of really motivating themselves, because it's a huge game for them in their battle for survival.
Chelsea dictating possession in the early exchanges here as it's sprayed out to Azpilicueta on the left-hand side. Back now with Mason Mount, who comes in field for Christensen. Urged to maraud forward over the halfway line, and here's Willian. It's been a good goal-scoring form of late, and Barkley takes a tumble right on the edge of the penalty area, and it will be a free kick for Chelsea. Etienne Capoue was the offender, and this could well be within shooting range, Matt Holland.
I'll tell you what, he did really well there, Ross Barkley, because there's 4 yellow shirts around him. He took it on the back foot, manoeuvred it away from Etienne Capoue, and quite rightly Kevin Friend has given the free kick just outside the box, about 22 yards out. But that was terrific from Ross Barkley, because he took that in such a tight position. Big night for him as well, I think particularly with, as I said, Jorginho before the game, how he hasn't really featured under Frank Lampard since the restart. Ross Barkley needs to put in a performance to try and keep Jorginho out of the team, and Kante from perhaps taking that role on that right-hand side of the midfield 3.
He seems to be a player that Frank Lampard has really backed, certainly since the resumption. Willian and Olivier Giroud in the luminous footwear of the 2 Chelsea players standing over this free kick. Ben Foster has lined up a 4-man Watford wall. Willian, who scored 4 goals his last 4 in the Premier League, maybe sizing one up here, although Olivier Giroud perhaps showing a bit more interest in exactly how far the wall is away. First dangerous moment for Watford. 5 minutes gone, you're listening to Talk Sport, and it's Chelsea 0, Watford 0.
Suits the left footer, doesn't it, rather than Willian. I would think that Giroud would probably take it. Alonso would if he was starting, because he's on the bench tonight.
And after some delay, here comes the free kick, and it is going to be Olivier Giroud left-footed into that wall, volleys it back into the area, and it's headed away. And Watford maybe can counter, but they haven't kept the ball for too long. It's back now inside the centre circle with the Frenchman Zuma. Out to this left-hand side, where Mason Mount will take over. Mason Mount, the player that Frank Lampard has said in a recent interview, reminds him of Lampard the player. That's some praise.
It certainly is. Wall did its job, didn't it, from the free kick? Mind you, it wasn't a great take from Olivier Giroud, straight into the middle of the wall.
It's a good ball from Capoue, though, out to the left-hand side, scampering, and then you can't keep it in play. And Chelsea take the throw quickly and are in possession now with Zuma on the edge of the D, away to our right-hand side.
They're actually allowing Chelsea to have possession, aren't they, in their own half. Watford dropping off. It's 4-5-1 without the ball. As soon as they win it, then they're trying to get Decore, Hughes and Sarr up the pitch in support of Troy Deeney.
Here's Kurt Zuma again, his second Premier League start since New Year's Day. Referred today to Antonio Rudiger. Frank Lampard actually questioned the size of his Chelsea team after that game against West Ham.
They're not a small team, are they? Zuma tonight, Christensen, Giroud.
Here's Willian, right corner of the penalty area, crosses right-footed, headed away by Dawson. Willian races back towards the halfway line and keeps Chelsea very much on the front foot here. Watford with plenty of men behind the ball. It's been the story of the first 7 minutes here under the lights in West London. As Christensen again rolls it out to the right-hand side, and Reece James this time. Barkley has his pocket picked by Capoue, and Watford have the ball back now well inside their own half. Capoue's actually played it against Olivier Giroud. Menu will just watch it out of play for a throw. Frank Lampard and Nigel Pearson already perched on the edge of their respective technical areas, down way below us here. We're high up in the gods of the East Stand at Stamford Bridge. Wonderful vantage point. And this feast of football on game day on Talk Sport. Some big results already. We started down at the bottom of the table. Brighton all but securing their Premier League status and plunging Norwich a big step closer to the Championship in the process with that 1-0 win at Carrow Road. Then Manchester United really turned on the style and a 5-2 win at home to Bournemouth. Bournemouth stay rooted in the relegation places. And what about Arsenal? 2-0 victors away at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Could argue that's the most impressive result that Mikel Arteta has picked up so far. Here come Chelsea. Pulisic towards the penalty area. Into Mason Mount. Mount trying to cut it back left-footed. It bounces against Mariappa and behind for the first quarter of the evening.
Showing how good he's been in recent weeks, Christian Pulisic. And quick feet again, just to work the space for himself and find Mason Mount to his left. Early on, actually, most of the attacking for Chelsea has come down this left-hand side. Azpilicueta's been getting forward quite a bit as well from left-back.
Leicester City also picked up a big win live on TalkSport 2 against Crystal Palace to get their Champions League push back on track. Here's Mason Mount. William having taken the short corner. It's a looping cross from Mount, but over the head of everybody in blue. And Ben Foster, the Watford goalkeeper, content to let that bounce behind for a goal kick. 8 minutes gone, still goalless here at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, not the best free kick, best cross, should I say, from Mason Mount. Although he wasn't helped actually by the movement, because every Chelsea player ran across the near post and across the middle of the goal. There was no one coming out around the back.
Chelsea looking for a fourth successive home victory in the Premier League. That would be their best run of the season. They have been known to drop points here against the so-called lesser lights. West Ham have won here, Bournemouth lost away at Newcastle as well, so Frank Lampard will be keen to avoid that. Christensen took a bit of a chance there inside his own penalty area.
Wow, he got away with that. He turned into trouble, didn't even see Will Hughes there. All of a sudden, Will Hughes was quickly closing him down and he managed to wriggle his way through. Very fortunate.
That's what Nigel Pearson will want to see, though. His players pressing high up the field, trying to force this Chelsea defence, which isn't always the most watertight, into mistakes. Here's N'Golo Kanté over the halfway line. He rolls it out to the right, where James has got a bit of space to work with, and he in turn switches the play back to his left-hand side, and the ever-reliable Cesar Azpilicueta, or Dave, as he's affectionately known inside the Chelsea dressing room. Here's Pulisic turning away from Chalobah, floated into the penalty area. Good ball for Giroud, looking to give it back to Pulisic. It's cleared and then given away by Azpilicueta. It's a lovely ball, just floated over the top of the Watford defence from Christian Pulisic. How good has he been since the resumption of the Premier League?
See, that was different class. Back on the ball again, although he's just given it away. I tell you what, I mean, that was brilliant. He just injects so much pace into their attack.
Here they come again with Pulisic trying to bamboozle Chalobah. Chalobah wins it back for Watford, and then Capoue on the slide can't get on the second ball.
Can't give it away like that, Watford, when they're deep enough as it is. If they do win the ball back, they've got to get a few passes in without giving it away as cheaply as that.
And here come Chelsea again. Pulisic fouled this time by Mariappa. Just had his heels clipped, but he looks in the mood. The £57.6 million signing from Borussia Dortmund. Taking him a while to adjust to the rigours of Premier League football, but Watford's right at it now as the cross from Reece James is tamely into the gloves of Foster. And with 11 minutes played, it remains Chelsea 0, Watford 0. Here on Game Day on Talk Sport, Alex Crook and the former Republic of Ireland midfielder Matt Holland, your commentary team for this one.
It's been a good start from Chelsea. The way they've kept possession early on, albeit they've been allowed to, because Watford have dropped very deep at times. And Pulisic has added a bit of pace to their attack when they do get the chance to venture into that final third. Chelsea have started the best of the two sides.
Yeah, Frank Lampard will be largely satisfied. I think he was satisfied with most of what he saw in that game at West Ham. It was just the lapses defensively that really cost them, and has put them under pressure, especially given that big win for inform Manchester United earlier today, live on Talk Sport. United do have a kind-looking fixture list as well between now and the end of the season, so Chelsea know they need to keep picking up points. They go to Crystal Palace on Tuesday night, and Sheffield United away next Saturday. Norwich at home looks reasonably straightforward, but the last two games, Matt, Wolves at home and Liverpool away, they won't want to go into those needing maximum points to secure their place at Europe's top table next season.
I'll tell you what, those Champions League places, that last day of the season, I think I'm right in saying that Man United travel to Leicester and Chelsea at home to Wolves. It could be a shootout on the last day for the top four.
Absolutely incredible the way this season is panning out, this most extraordinary of seasons. Long punt forward by Ben Foster, the Watford goalkeeper. Just begins to drizzle overhead here at Stamford Bridge. Here's Hughes grappling with James, and he's been tripped from behind, so Watford have a free kick here, level with the 18-yard line. And these are the situations that Nigel Pearson will have been highlighting during the week as where they could really take advantage against Chelsea. It needs a good delivery. Chelsea average a goal conceded from a corner every 12 corners, and this is as good as a corner really when you look at the position where Watford are going to take the free kick. Olivier Giroud, as we mentioned in the build-up to commentary, perhaps included tonight as much for his ability to head the ball away from his own penalty area as anything else, is back there, and it's a cluster of blue shirts. It's going to be Hughes left-footed. Dawson goes down, but no foul, and it's cleared away by Azpilicueta. Chelsea deal with that one comfortably enough, and then it's Mariappa who tries to float it back out to Hughes, headed clear by Barkley. Deeney finds Dawson, who stayed forward. He's going to shoot from miles out, and it's well wide as well. That was ambitious, to say the least, from the central defender.
It was. He didn't have too many options in his defence, but they'd have probably liked that at someone else's feet rather than Craig Dawson, 25 yards from goal. He just dragged it wide of Kepa's post. But Chelsea defended that set piece well. It was a zonal marking, it wasn't man for man. The back four were in the line. It was Azpilicueta who won the first header, and Conte did the rest.
You're listening to Chelsea against Watford on Talk Sport with the next generation Nissan Duke. Together, let's move beyond. Chelsea looking to move beyond halfway here. Zuma stretching out the legs and playing it out to his left-hand side where Azpilicueta is a willing outlet. Here's N'Golo Conte now.
The two full-backs are the outlet, because the way Watford are playing, they're very narrow. They're narrowing right off. Sarr and Hughes are getting very close to their midfield. And Reece James and Azpilicueta got an awful lot of space down the wings.
Here is James, midway inside Watford territory. Willian tries to give it back to James. It's intercepted by Kiko Femenya. And Watford again look to build their way out from the back.
Well, they've got to get a few passes in because there's such a big gap between the midfield and Troy Deeney.
It's a good ball from Capoue though, sprayed out to this right-hand side. Mariappa looks to make his way over halfway, closed down by Pulisic. And it's back now with Christian Kabasele, the Belgian, 10 yards outside Watford's penalty area. Good ball by Decore, finds Hughes in space on the left-hand side. And Femenya has burst forward on the overlap. It's a good run, tries to pull it back for Deeney. Only cleared as far as Decore. Here's Hughes inside the penalty area. His cross blocked by James, and maybe now Chelsea can counter. Willian has played it forward to Ross Barkley. He's striding out over the halfway line here, Barkley. Pulisic. Willian's continued his run. Here is Willian inside the penalty area. Pulisic wanted the ball played back. Willian shoots left-footed into the arms of Foster. Good move.
Well, it was a good move, but there was space to run into for once for Chelsea. Watford have been so defensive, so organised, but Then they'd committed a lot of bodies forward, and actually Capoue made a big mistake in midfield. He went chasing after a ball he couldn't win, and then Chelsea were away at Watford's back line, and they worked it nicely. And Willian has been in really good form, came onto his left foot, but a good block, and it made it easy for Ben Foster.
You're listening to Game Day on TalkSport. Chelsea 0, Watford 0 from Stamford Bridge in West London. And it's Watford who have the ball with Adrian Mariappa 5 yards inside the Chelsea half. Mariappa, who's one of the first Premier League players to actually come out publicly and test positive for COVID-19. It's his first start since then. As Deeney rolls it forward to Firmino. Firmino crosses it along the 6-yard line, but nobody in yellow anywhere near Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Reece James got a good toe on it as well, which took it towards his goalkeeper. It was good defending from Reece James.
Arrizabalaga bowls it out quickly to Mount, and here's Willian now in the right wing position for Chelsea. Back to James, 5 yards inside Watford territory. This is Zuma. Again, has got acres of space to run into. Watford sitting so deep. Whenever Chelsea are in possession, they're almost in the shed end, away to our left-hand side in that bottom tier.
They're trying to condense the space, not allow the likes of Pulisic and Willian too much room.
Reece James with a cross, good ball. They were queuing up in the centre, but it's too close to Foster.
And twice now, he's gone down that right-hand side, tried to deliver a ball into the box, and it's been too close to the goalkeeper. Good pace and good whip on it, just that little bit too close.
Ben Foster making his 100th Premier League appearance in a Watford shirt tonight. He's been a busy boy as well since the start of last season. He's made the most saves, but also conceded more goals than any other goalkeeper. In fact, Foster and Arrizabalaga are the two goalkeepers with the lowest save percentages in the Premier League this season, Matt.
Wow. Kepa doesn't surprise me, because I don't think he's had a particularly good season.
Certainly Foster's had plenty of shooting practice. Here now is Mariappa. There's a Watford player down right in the centre of the Chelsea half. I think it's Troy Deeney, which will be a concern for Nigel Pearson.
Knee in the back, I think he'll be okay.
It does give me a chance to tell you about some of the commentaries we've got coming up on the TalkSport network over the course of the next few days. Tomorrow, Burnley against Sheffield United on TalkSport, a midday kick-off. Mark Saggers, your host, commentary from Mark Wilson and Danny Mills, the former England defender, at 3 o'clock. Big game in the Championship, live and exclusive on TalkSport 2. West Bromwich Albion at home to Hull City. Commentary there from Nigel Pearson and Chris Iwelumo. On Monday night, the League One playoff semi-finals conclude. Finally poised between Oxford and Portsmouth. It's a 5 o'clock kick-off, live and exclusive once again on TalkSport 2 at 7:30. And Fleetwood need a bit of a miracle. They go to Wycombe, looking to overturn a big deficit in their second leg. And is also live and exclusive on TalkSport 2, your home of the EFL. Watford will be hoping they're not part of the EFL come next season, but they're on the back foot here. Giroud into the penalty area, good save with the legs of Foster. Giroud with a left-footed effort. He was off balance, Foster, but he managed to stick out a trailing leg and clear the ball to safety. It was Pulisic, the creator, once again, as Barkley floats the ball out to the right-hand side, and James. Watford under pressure here. Good ball in by James. Pulisic goes down inside the penalty area. Chelsea wanted a spot kick. The free kick has gone the other way, Matt Holland.
Yeah, I think it was a foul. Push from Pulisic. Kabasele, I think Kevin Friend got that absolutely spot on. But the chances that Chelsea are creating, it's when Watford have committed bodies in advanced positions, and actually a tackle from Mariappa inadvertently directed towards Willian, and then they were away, and a quick interchange between Willian, Pulisic, and then on to Giroud. It was a decent finish. He went for the far post, but Foster read it well and was able to stick his leg out and make the save.
Watford have only won one of the last 17 meetings between these two in all competitions. That was a 4-1 Vicarage Road success back in February of 2018. Their record here at Stamford Bridge is even worse than that. 1986, the last time they took all 3 points on this ground. I was 4 years old, man.
Don't make me feel old.
What were you doing in 1986?
1986, good question. When was I born? 74. Well, second year of senior school I was. Probably just signed for Arsenal as a schoolboy.
You are a bit older than me, aren't you?
Just a little bit.
We play 20 minutes here. You're listening to Game Day on TalkSport. Chelsea 0, Watford 0. Chelsea have had most of the ball, but here come Watford towards the home penalty area. Zuma does well to win it back, as Chalobah had committed himself well forward.
He's actually done quite a good job on Troy Deeney so far, although Troy Deeney just won a header against him.
Troy Deeney, talking to the Watford website before this game, was saying that maybe they need to be a bit nastier and win ugly. Is he suggesting that they've been too easy to play against in recent weeks?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they probably have. And I think when you're in this position, you have to dig in. Don't get me wrong, you've got to have a balance. You can't have 11 players out there who are going to work hard and no creativity in the team. You've got to have a balance to it.
Well, even from way up here, you may have heard the screams of pain there from Olivier Giroud as he was caught on the ankle by Etienne Capoue. It's a yellow card for Capoue and a free kick for Chelsea, 12 yards outside the Watford penalty area.
It was a better position for Willian this time. Giroud took the last free kick. It was the other side of the box and it suited her left footer more. This time it's the other side. And Willian in a similar position actually to where he scored against West Ham on a free kick. He's just placed the ball. Looks like he'll be the man to take it.
He created a unique piece of history, Willian, with that goal in the week. He's the first Premier League player to score in every month of a calendar year.
Wow.
It might take some effort, another pandemic, for someone to beat that record as well. Here is Willian, about to take the free kick for Chelsea. It's fully 12 yards outside the penalty area. He's going to have to get plenty of power on the shot to beat Ben Foster from this range, you would imagine. Mason Mount and Ross Barkley also showing some interest.
Especially if he goes the goalkeeper's side, which is what he did at West Ham. I think it'd be better for him to go over the top of the wall, really.
We've seen some great free kicks, haven't we, since the restart?
About 3 months in the garden practicing them.
Even I was practicing, although most of mine went over the neighbour's fence, in all honesty. Here is Willian, taking a long runner. Sizing up exactly where he wants to put this. He's put it into the wall. Barkley on the follow-up left-footed volley. Was going wide. Stabbed back in play by Zuma. And then Watford clear it to the halfway line where N'Golo Conte recycles it back to Kepa Arrizabalaga.
The job did its wall that time, and it had to jump as well. It still hit the top of the wall. Big wall and strong. Good block.
It's been a disciplined first quarter of the game from Watford. I think that's just about as much as Nigel Pearson could have asked for, really, against the Chelsea side looking to bounce back from the disappointment of events late in the game at the London Stadium. Live on Talk Sport in midweek. Zuma well forward once again. He side foots it out to the right hand side. Reece James flanked by Hughes, so he goes back to the diminutive N'Golo Conte. Here is Barkley, the Liverpudlian. Christensen now forward. Every outfield player is now inside the Watford half, away to our left. It's given away by N'Golo Conte. Sliding in well there was Capoue, and it's been sprayed upfield to Will Hughes, who's beat the offside trap. Deeney making his way into the penalty area. Hughes with a cross. Deeney was trying to attack it. Azpilicueta away, only as far as Capoue goes down. It's a free kick conceded by Mason Mount. They were almost caught short there, Matt, Chelsea defensively.
It was a brilliant ball from Troy Deeney. He recognised Will Hughes has run into the space, but he had a long way to make up. And Will Hughes had to delay before they're putting the ball into the box. Eventually Deeney did get up there, and he did enough to challenge, which meant it couldn't clear the danger fully, Chelsea. And they've given away a free kick on the edge of the box. I think it was Mason Mount who just dived in. This is a good position. This is, 20 yards out? Maybe 22?
It's the former Republic of Ireland, Charlton, and Ipswich midfielder Matt Holland here on TalkSport. Looks like Chalobah, doesn't it, against his former club. Nathaniel Chalobah, Premier League winner with Chelsea back in 2017. Could he be about to put a big dent in their hopes of qualifying for the Champions League? Here he goes, right-footed over the wall and into the stand as well.
It's the cliche. Difficult to get it up and down in time because you are so close to the goal. That's exactly how it proved.
It's currently Chelsea 0, Watford 0. And for the latest odds, head to the Betfair Exchange, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage. And right now you can get 1.46 on a Chelsea win, 9.6 if you fancy Watford to take all 3 points, and 4.5 if you're backing the draw. That's all thanks to the Betfair Exchange. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Just had a quick look. I've just seen a replay of the free kick that Watford were awarded, and I'm quite pleased to have seen it go over the bar, Chelsea, because Mason Mount got nowhere near the man. There was a dive on the edge of the box.
Well, the two managers are just down on the pitch below us. Frank Lampard very animated as his players stand in a huddle for the first water break of the evening. Nigel Pearson also gesticulating. What will they be saying, the two bosses?
Nigel Pearson will be thrilled to have got to this quarter point of the game. Goalless, they've defended well, they've been pretty resolute, good shape about them. One or two moments on the counter-attack as well. Frank Lampard will be pleased with the way they started the game, first 10 minutes, but the pace of their attack has just been nullified, I think, in the last 10 minutes or so. He'll say do things a bit quicker, try and move the ball a bit quicker, try and get Pulisic on the ball, because every time he's had it he's looked really lively.
For all the possession that Chelsea have had, they are dominating in that particular area. They've had 67% of the ball, 33% for Watford. They haven't really asked too many questions of Ben Foster so far, have they?
No, one save, wasn't there? Olivier Giroud's shot low to his left, which he had to stick a leg out. That was their big chance.
Obviously Frank Lampard has already strengthened his team for next season. The likes of Timo Werner and Hakim Ziyech signed. Where do you see Werner in particular fitting into this Chelsea lineup?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I know he's quite versatile. Can play through the middle, can play out on the left-hand side. At the moment, Giroud's being preferred really to Tammy Abraham, so possibly through the middle with Tammy Abraham trying to put pressure on that position.
He's just looked a bit rusty, hasn't he, Tammy Abraham, having been out injured.
Yeah, he had that injury
before lockdown.
Not helped at all.
Same with one or two of England strikers. Harry Kane, for me, still feeling his way back to fitness. Marcus Rashford's among the goals for Manchester United today. Still needs more games. Here's N'Golo Kanté out the right-hand side. Willian with a chance to cross into the penalty area. Flying header away by Chalobah. It's picked up now by Mason Mount, right in the centre of the Watford half. Mount threads it through neatly to Barkley. Barkley onto Giroud. Giroud left-footed, off the post and in. Chelsea hit the front at Stamford Bridge. Olivier Giroud with his 5th goal of the season. It's that sinking feeling for Watford again. But how big a goal could that be for Chelsea's hopes of a top 4 finish? 28 minutes on the clock. It is Chelsea 1, Watford 0.
Yeah, big goal and a really good finish from Olivier Giroud across the goalkeeper into the far post, into the back of the net, off the far post. I'll tell you what, Ross Barkley, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I said he's so good in tight areas, takes it on the back foot, looks to play forward, and he picks the ball up off Mason Mount in a really tight position. He's trying to get in between the back 4 and the midfield 4. He takes it on the half turn, slips Giroud in, and he drags his shot in off the post. Big goal for Chelsea. Well played, Ross Barkley.
It was a precise finish, low into the corner. Ben Foster rooted to the spot. Well, he was preferred tonight, Olivier Giroud, to Tammy Abraham. And he's just repaid the faith that Frank Lampard has shown in him, and that should be the goal that settles Chelsea's nerves. And Watford are going to have to come out now, aren't they? They're going to have to come at this Chelsea side, and that may just play into the home side's hands.
Well, you don't have to do it straight away. It's a long time left in the game, Alex. You know, there's a lot of minutes in this, and there's a lot of football still to be played. But at some stage, yeah, they're going to have to start trying to cause more of a problem for Chelsea's defence. I said they'd be better off playing that way, really.
Here's Pulisic, plays it out to Afpelliqueta. Here's cross into the area. Pulisic with a header, and it's just plucked on the line by Foster. Well, they're starting to purr now, Chelsea. That could be ominous news for Nigel Pearson, who looks really agitated down the touchline. He had that fantastic start, didn't he, when he was first appointed. It's fallen away. 1 win in 10 coming into this game. At the moment, the way it's looking, they might just be saved by just how bad the 3 teams below them are, but they wouldn't want to rely on that, Nigel Pearson. He would have been panicking when Bournemouth took the lead at Old Trafford earlier today, live on TalkSport, that's for sure. And you do get some strange results at this stage of the season, Matt. They're going to want to keep their destiny in their own hands.
Yeah, next 3 games are massive for them. I'm not saying that this one's over and that they're not going to get anything from Stamford Bridge, but when you look at the fixture list, Norwich, Newcastle and West Ham, the next 3 games, they are absolutely huge in Watford's season.
Especially as they finish the campaign at home to Manchester City and away at Arsenal. Don't forget, if you want to have your say on any of this afternoon's action on Game Day on Talk Sport, we've got the Sports Bar phone-in coming up right after we're finished here. Adam Cattrall and Darren Bent will be taking your calls. No doubt some delighted Arsenal and Manchester United fans out there, Brighton supporters as well.
Yeah, Darren Bent, a member of the 100 Club, which Jamie Vardy has reached today. So,
yeah, Vardy at the double as Leicester beat Crystal Palace over on Talk Sport 2. This race for the top 4 is absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Olivier Giroud, the Chelsea goalscorer, wins it back on the halfway line. He quickly plays it forward to Barkley.
It's been good to see him look so positive, Ross Barkley. I mean, it's a good challenge by Will Hughes on him now, and he's lost possession.
Dispossessed, but that was a sloppy touch, wasn't it?
He has been very good, Ross Barkley, in the early stages. Just the positions he's picking up, the way he's been positive in looking to drive forward.
Just Ismaila Sarr, who gave it away cheaply just inside the Chelsea half. We haven't mentioned his name too much, the Senegalese international. Some great form before lockdown, but Watford just haven't been able to hit any kind of stride at all so far, and they're 1-0 down here at Stamford Bridge. We've got 13 minutes to go until half-time. You listen to Game Day on Talk Sport in the company of Alex Crook and Matt Holland, the former Ireland midfielder. Chalabar does well to shrug off the attentions of Pulisic and play it back into the Watford half, where Abdoulaye Doucouré took over, and it's back now with Dawson, the summer signing for West Bromwich Albion, his former club. He'll look to take another step closer to promotion. You can hear their game tomorrow afternoon, live and exclusive on Talk Sport 2. It's a 3 o'clock kick-off against Hull City at the Hawthorns. On Tuesday night we've got more Premier League action. Palace against Chelsea at 6 o'clock. That's exclusive on Talk Sport. At the same time on 2, Watford host Norwich. That would be a massive game if this scoreline stays the way it is. And then you're trying to change that, crosses into the area, headed away by N'Golo Conte, surprisingly perhaps, and Willian then plays it out and forward to Mount. N'Golo Conte, 1 minute he's on the edge of his own penalty area. Here he is inside the Watford half, and it's Willian who takes over. Chance maybe to switch it to this left-hand side, and Azpilicueta is well forward in the white boots. Such a pair of lungs, isn't he? N'Golo Conte gobbles up the ground so quickly. Has the distinction as well of being the only player in the Premier League era to win the Championship in successive seasons with 2 different clubs.
Some player, I mean, as I said, I don't think he's been in the best of form of late, the last few games. But he is a terrific player.
You're a harsh taskmaster.
I am. It's the best way, Alex.
Here's Christensen over halfway for Chelsea, who continue to almost own the ball. Mount with his back to goal, so rolls it into the feet of Reece James. Preferred tonight to Marcus Alonso, in a bit of a reshuffle along that back line for Frank Lampard. Azpilicueta moving to left back. The versatile Spaniard. Here's Willian trying to knock it forward to James on that right hand side. Femenya manages to just smuggle it behind for a goal kick for Watford. They've won only 3 of their last 6 against the Big Six. It's that record against Chelsea in particular that wouldn't have filled their listening fans with too much confidence, and the goal from Olivier Giroud would have further dented that. What do you make of the response from the Hornets, Matt Holland?
It hasn't changed much, to be honest. As I said, they're still trying to sit in, still trying to contain Chelsea. Got to get this man on the ball. Ismaila Sarr.
Yeah, Sarr in space on the right hand side. Crosses low into the penalty. It was a dangerous ball. Deeney applauds the effort. For a moment, Reece James wasn't exactly sure how close the Watford captain was to him, so he just poked it behind for a corner.
He's the X factor. He's the player that can just do something out of nothing. Just a couple of minutes ago, a brilliant turn to beat Azpilicueta, right only on halfway line though. He needs to be in that final third where he's creating things. That was a dangerous ball in the box. It's well to defend it, Chelsea.
Watford 17th in the table as it stands. They've been buoyed by Bournemouth's defeat earlier today, but Aston Villa take on Liverpool tomorrow. There was a surprise result in that one, and Watford lose here, then they would be in the bottom three. They have a corner though, and plenty of yellow shirts forward inside the penalty area. Chelsea haven't been great defending set pieces. They're okay defending that one though, and it was Olivier Giroud, the goal scorer, who heads it clear. And Willian then looking to release Barkley. Barkley felt he was being held back there by Abdoulaye Doucouré. It was clever because the referee didn't spot it. Here's Willian now for Chelsea, 10 yards inside Watford territory. Again, we're going to find Barkley. Does so at the second time of asking. Then Barkley pirouettes away from Troy Deeney. Lovely piece of skill there from the England midfielder. Here is James, right corner of the Watford penalty area. Plays it back to Mason Mount. Watford again well grouped behind the ball, and Chelsea forced back to Kurt Zouma on the halfway line. Zouma again plays it into Christensen inside the centre circle. Mason Mount threads it through for Giroud. Got an arm in the face there from Kabasele. It's going to be a free kick. Almost level with the penalty spot, 2 yards outside the D. It was clumsy at best from Christian Kabasele.
It was. I have to, you asked me out what I've thought of Watford's response. It's disappointing is the answer. I think they need more intensity in their game. But they're happy just to sit off, let Chelsea have the ball, and they're getting to within 30 yards of their goal without any pressure whatsoever. And they're trying to feed the ball into Giroud, and he's been clever with the way he uses his body and spins the centre half. He's won another free kick now in a good position for Chelsea.
Well, this is dangerous, isn't it? Especially given the form that Willian has been in.
It's just too easy to get so close to their own goal. They need to try and get a bit of pressure on the ball further up the pitch.
They need more of an outlet, don't they, in the attacking third?
Well, Deeney's not one with pace. He's the one who holds it up and allows people to run off him. But at the moment, the gap between midfield and Troy Deeney is too big anyway.
Willian takes a couple of steps back. Ben Foster crouches a yard or so off the Watford goal line. I think we know it's going to be Willian to strike this. Right-footed into the wall. And then it will be cleared away by Ismail Assar, but again Chelsea win it back easily with Christensen. Volleys it towards the Watford penalty area. Mariappa climbing above Espeliqueta, but they've still got the ball, Chelsea. Eventually Mariappa heads it clear, and then N'Golo Kanté trying to keep Chelsea on the front foot, just nods it out of play for a Watford throw, which will be taken 2 yards outside their own penalty area. 7 minutes to go until half time.
Been comfortable for Chelsea, more comfortable I'm sure than they would have thought or envisaged.
You're listening to Chelsea against Watford on TalkSport with Now TV. Don't forget you can watch Chelsea versus Watford live right now. That's with the Now TV Sky Sports Pass from just £9.99. Search Now TV. As James trots forward for Chelsea down the right. Low cross into the penalty area, clear behind by Firmino. Will be a corner for the home team, who lead 1-0. Olivier Giroud with a goal on 28 minutes, and Matt's mentioned the response from Watford, or lack of. They've only won 2 points from losing positions all season, so the Hornets hardly renowned for their powers of recovery. As William prepares to deliver the corner from the right-hand side, right-footed to the near post. Capoue clears only as far as Barkley. Pretended he was going to play it back to William on the right-hand side, and then floats it to this near touchline instead. Wasn't the best of balls, but Pulisic trying to make something of it up against Abdoulaye Doucouré. Here now on the halfway line is Ross Barkley. Number 8 shining brightly on the back of his blue Chelsea jersey. It's a lovely ball out to the right-hand side, and Willian was just hovering on that right touchline. James with a cross in, looking for Olivier Giroud. Foster punches it down into the ground. It wasn't the most convincing piece of goalkeeping, but it did the job.
He's always looking for that ball, isn't he? In between the back four and the goalkeeper, whipped in at pace.
Here's Pulisic, the American. Away from Mariappa. James has come into the central midfield role, and he's played it low along the ground now to the right, and Willian. Mason Mount with a cross this time, headed away by Dawson for Watford, and then a foul by N'Golo Kanté. Was it? In fact, it's gone against Deeney, much to the Watford captain's frustration. And a free kick here again, maybe just about within shooting range for Chelsea, in a very central position.
Shoving the back, wasn't it, from Deeney? He wasn't going to win the ball any other way. Shoved N'Golo Kanté in the back. It was an easy decision for Kevin Friend, who was right on the spot. This is about the 4th or 5th free kick that Chelsea have had in a similar position. Like
surely this one is just too far out, isn't it?
I don't know. Willian stepped away. It looks like Mason Mount fancies his chances. He's the one that spotted it this time. I don't think it's too far out.
Actually, probably from a similar range to where Marcus Rashford scored here for Manchester United. Do you remember that free kick earlier in the season?
That was some goal. That'll take some beating this season.
Mason Mount trying to replicate Rashford here. Once again, Ben Foster has got 4 men in the Watford wall. Mason Mount, who's featured in every Chelsea Premier League game this season, takes it right-footed, it's hit the wall, and it bounces kindly into the gloves of Foster inside that 6-yard box.
Well, the wall have done its job again.
It's the third time, isn't it?
3 times they've crashed the ball into that Watford wall. It is a big wall, pretty intimidating looking at it if you're taking the free kick, but they have crashed into the wall 3 or 4 times now.
You're listening to Game Day on Talk Sport. Chelsea 1, Watford 0. Alex Crook and Matt Holland, your commentary team, at the end of a feast of football here across the Talk Sport network. It's been a tremendous Saturday afternoon. At the moment it's going to be a pleasing end to the day for Chelsea.
I'll tell you who's been a big loss for Watford with his injury, Gerard Deulofeu. Sarr one side, Deulofeu the other. Real outlet.
Here's Pulisic trying to be the outlet for Chelsea into the penalty area, and he goes down. It was a clumsy tackle, and it's going to be a penalty. Etienne Capoue just swept Pulisic off his feet, and Chelsea, with less than 4 minutes remaining in this first half, have the chance to double their advantage, and Nigel Pearson will be so frustrated.
What a ridiculous challenge that was from Etienne Capoue. He's already been booked for a stupid challenge, and now with Pulisic going absolutely nowhere, he's on the byline. I mean, absolutely ridiculous to dive in and make a challenge.
No complaints from the Watford players. They knew it was a stone wall penalty. Kevin Friend, probably the easiest decision that he's had to make all season, and no surprise that Willian is going to take this penalty for Chelsea in front of the shed end in the 43rd minute to surely take the game out of Watford's reach. Willian, who's scored in each of his last 4 games in the Premier League, 4 in 4, scored in his last 2, and here he is, Willian, right-footed into the corner. Chelsea double their advantage. They are going back into the top 4 surely. Willian, with his 11th goal of the season, calmly stroked it beyond Ben Foster into the left corner to make it Chelsea 2, Watford 0.
That's a good penalty from Willian. Didn't expect him to miss. Foster dived to his right, and Willian found the back of the net, but I'm still scratching my head at what Etienne Capoue has done. I'm wondering why he's gone steaming into the challenge. Pulisic, as I say, was on the byline, going nowhere. He turned back. As he turned, Etienne Capoue's just run straight through him. Absolutely ridiculous from the Watford midfielder.
As cool as you like from Willian. And if it was a long way back for Watford at 1-0 down, they have a mountain to climb now, having conceded the second goal just before half-time. Frank Lampard stands, hands in his pockets, but he will be absolutely delighted with what he's seen from Chelsea in this first half. The perfect response to that setback in the London derby in midweek. It was such a good penalty. Foster dived the wrong way. He wouldn't have got there anyway. Arrows into the corner. And a little fist pump from Frank Lampard. And a broad smile across the face of the Chelsea manager. The perfect anniversary so far as he is concerned. And Willian enjoying the best goal-scoring return of any of his Premier League seasons.
Chelsea have been good. They've moved the ball quickly, scored a couple of goals, but they've been helped by a poor performance from Watford. I said that Chelsea defensively are vulnerable. Made a couple of changes tonight. Watford have put them under absolutely no pressure. Not tested them at the back.
Probably the only pressure Chelsea were under realistically is not from the opponents tonight. It was from that result at Old Trafford.
Yeah, and they've responded. in absolutely the right way, in the way they've performed. You know, they've moved the ball quickly, they've passed it well, there's been a tempo about their game. I've been so disappointed in the away side.
They do have a corner here, Watford, right at the end of the first half. Will Hughes is going to take it into the 6-yard box. It goes. It's helped on the near post by Cabaselli, bouncing around. Mount clears it away, and Willian here is going to get there ahead of Firmino. Great pace from Willian, and he has Pulisic in support. The blue shirts marauding forward once more as we move into 3 added minutes at the end of the first half here on Game Day on Talk Sport. Willian in the end dispossessed by Firmino, but it would have alarmed Nigel Pearson with the way that William was allowed to gobble up the ground and get there ahead of Firmino, who had a 5-yard start originally.
Well, a long throw, wasn't it, from Watford, and everyone had gone forward. And I think there's so much space for Chelsea to counter, and they've got pace, real pace in the team.
I agree with you. I think it's been an excellent performance from the home side. Very flat from Watford again, and at the moment they're the team, given the likes of Bournemouth and Aston Villa hope that despite their own poor form they could yet get out of trouble. What's going so wrong for Watford at the moment that went so right when Nigel Pearson first took charge? Well,
there was a tempo and intensity about their game. I said they were putting pressure on from the front, and they were working hard to close down, not allowing teams to get high up the pitch, and that's exactly what they've done today. They just sat off and said, go on then, you can come up the pitch and do what you want with the ball, really.
Here's Pulisic trying to bamboozle the Watford defence. Oh, it's a lovely turn from Pulisic, and he just rolls it into Cesar Azpilicueta, forced slightly wide by Sarr, but he's got the ball again. Azpilicueta, he plays it low into the air. It's a foul by Mason Mount on Capoue. That turn and that piece of skill from Pulisic originally.
Yeah, it was a class act. Terrific player, enjoying himself, playing with confidence. A number of players actually playing with confidence. Ross Barkley tonight has tried a couple of diagonals as well out to that right hand side, and that's a sign that a player is feeling good about their game.
And Chelsea certainly feeling good about this first half. We're into the last of the added minutes. Ben Foster is about to take the free kick for Watford. 2 more goals conceded by him tonight. 2 goals in truth he could do little to keep out. Foster with a left-footed ball upfield out to the left-hand side. Towering leap by Christensen, heads it forward. Here comes Mason Mount, who's looked lively as well. He's been swept off his feet there by Dawson. So it's going to be a free kick which Barkley takes quickly. This will be the last attacking action of the half. Pulisic away from Chalobah, and in the end it was Hughes who dives in and wins the ball. Pulisic wanted a free kick. I thought it was a good tackle, and he's back now with Ben Foster inside that 18-yard box.
Yeah, it was a good tackle. Pulisic said that he got his ankle first, but it did look a good challenge from Will Hughes.
On punt upfield by Foster, flicked on by Deeney, away from Hughes, and Reece James, who's had a solid night so far at right back, just calmly plays it back to Aretha Balaga, and there goes the half-time whistle. Well, we wondered how Chelsea would respond to that last gasp defeat against West Ham, and Manchester United's win earlier today. They've responded so far in the perfect fashion. Olivier Giroud opening the scoring on 28 minutes, and a penalty from Willian 2 minutes before the end of the normal 45. Surely already taking the points away from Watford, who've been woeful. Half-time here at Stamford Bridge. As it stands, Chelsea going back into the Champions League places. It's Chelsea 2, Watford 0. Well, it was Troy Deeney, the Watford captain, who came out after the defeat against Southampton last weekend and said that some no-holds-barred conversations were held in the Vicarage Road dressing room. They don't seem to have had the desired effect based on what we've seen from the Hornets in a very one-sided opening 45 minutes here on Game Day on Talk Sport. I guess, Matt, if Nigel Pearson is looking for inspiration and encouragement, he will point to the fact that Chelsea have failed to win 8 games in which they've scored the first goal in the Premier League this season. They've also dropped 18 points from winning positions, but Chelsea aren't going to give Watford away back into this game. They're going to have to earn it.
Well, what's their record when they've gone 2-0 up, Chelsea, rather than 1-0 up? I bet it's a bit better.
Just trying to give the Watford fans some hope, Matt.
Yeah, well, what I saw in that first 45 minutes doesn't give them too much hope. There has to be such a change in attitude, a change in tempo. I'm sure Nigel Pearson would have been absolutely furious with what he saw in that first half. I mean, and actually to compound it, the ridiculous challenge from Etienne Capoue as well that meant that Chelsea scored a second from the penalty spot. Just not good enough, and there's got to be a big reaction now.
We are back off and underway. Chelsea attacking the goal away to our right-hand side in the blue shirts, blue shorts, white socks, and the second half really has started where the first ended, with Chelsea on the front foot. Here is N'Golo Kanté. No changes from either manager. Watford in the yellow jerseys with the black shorts and yellow socks. Here's Pulisic in the area, trying to shift the ball onto his right foot, does so, and then floats it over the crossbar into the lower tier of the Matthew Harding stand.
Raved about him in the first half, Christian Pulisic. I thought he was absolutely excellent, and again he picks himself a position where he's not marked, but although it's tight in there, he still managed to get the half turn, move it, shift the ball a couple of yards, open up the space to get the shot away. No direction on that occasion, but I'll tell you what a first half he had.
A few weeks he's had since the resumption of the Premier League. Christian Pulisic, the Chelsea team for you for this second half, as it was in the first. Aretha Balaga is the goalkeeper. It's James, Christensen, Zuma and Azpilicueta in defence. Barkley, Kanté and Mount make up midfield, with Willian one side, Pulisic the other, of Olivier Giroud up front. For Watford, Foster is the goalkeeper, Mariappa, Kabasele, Dawson and Femenya in defence. Then come Chalobah and Capoue, Sarr, Decore and Hughes behind Troy Dean, who actually has just gone sliding into a challenge on the halfway line to win the ball back for Watford. That's the captain, leading by example, Matt Holland.
Yeah, I need a bit more from him as well. I know he can't do it on his own, but he's looked a little bit short, hasn't he, in terms of his fitness levels.
Do have Andre Gray back on the bench today after his misdemeanour ruled him out of the Southampton match. They lost, of course, at home to Ralph Hasenhüttl's side. They're losing again here, 2-0 down, with 3 minutes the second half played on game day on Talk Sport. The finale of what's been another action-packed Saturday across the Talk Sport network. Here is Mason Mount. There's a lovely ball out to the left-hand side. Pulisic spotted the overlapping run of Azpilicueta. His cross into the area. Hughes with a header away. Didn't get much distance on it. Mount on the volley. Blocked by Kabasele. Mount will have another go. And then Kabasele clears it against Ismail Assar. Eventually, the big Belgian will clear it upfield for Watford. They need more from Sarr as well, don't they, in terms of an attacking force. We've barely seen him with the ball in an area where he can hurt Chelsea.
I feel a bit sorry for him because he's been so deep. You know, you're saying they need more from him in the final third. I totally agree with you. But when you're being asked to play as deep as he is doing, I mean, he's almost on Mariappa's toes at times. He's having to help out because Azpilicueta's getting forward as well, and Pulisic's giving Mariappa a hard time.
I think Mariappa's going to get a booking here for a rather agricultural challenge on Pulisic.
But Sarr can't do it all. He can't be sort of 30 yards from his own goal and then be expected to sort of make 60-70 yards up to get forward. So I do feel sympathy for him.
Mariappa, the second Watford player to receive a yellow card. Etienne Capoue booked in the first half, not for the penalty that he gave away, from which Willian stroked Chelsea into a 2-0 lead. There have been 30 goals scored in the last 7 Premier League meetings between these two. There could be more in the second half. Chelsea take the free kick and try and work some space on the edge of the Watford penalty area. Barkley to Kanté, really sharp Frank Lampard side as Kanté plays it against the referee Kevin Friend, but play isn't halted because Chelsea have still got the ball, and it's switched by Christensen out to this right hand side of James. Another of the emerging young talents in the Premier League. It's been a good day, hasn't it, for the likes of Mason Greenwood, who scored a couple of cracking goals for Manchester United. The future looks very bright as far as Gareth Southgate is concerned. William plays it into the penalty area. Saka as well on target for Arsenal in the game he brought you immediately before this one, having penned his new deal at the Emirates Stadium this week. James into N'Golo Kanté, goes back to Willian now, 15 yards inside Watford territory. Nigel Pearson and his trusted right hand man Craig Shakespeare, we heard from him in the build up to kick off, stood side by side in the technical area, but whatever they said at half-time, Matt Holland, hasn't really made a difference to the flow of the game. It's still all Chelsea. Yeah,
it is, and that's down to Chelsea's quality, because I think there has been a bit more intent to get closer to Chelsea, to try and put them under pressure when they get on the ball. But Chelsea's passing has continued to be crisp, and they're moving it nicely.
sometimes, I was speaking to someone at Brighton about this after Manchester United went there and won handsomely in the week, and their view of it was United were just too good for us today. Even if we'd been at our 100% best, we would still have lost the game. Is that how Watford might be feeling here?
Possibly, because Chelsea have played well, but I don't think there was enough intent to get in their faces and stop them playing in that first period. That's been a bit better at the start of the second.
Brighton 1-0 victors at Norwich in the first of our live and exclusive commentaries here on TalkSport Game Day. Surely now Graham Potter's men safe in the Premier League. Watford far from it, only a point ahead of Aston Villa, who play Liverpool tomorrow. At the moment, those four at the bottom are taking socially distancing a bit too far, aren't they, and separating themselves from the rest of the Premier League table. Isn't beyond the realms, the way they're playing, that none of those bottom four will win a game between now and the end of the season. What that also means, of course, is that if one of them could find some form, they'd have a real chance of getting out of trouble. Here's N'Golo Kanté, 15 yards outside the Watford half. Once again, all the yellow shirts are back, camped on the edge of their own penalty area. Barkley just slows the game down. He was trying to play it forward for Pulisic. It was intercepted, but look how deep Troy Deeney is to try and get involved in the play. It's a free kick for Watford. Barkley dragging Capoue to the ground. And Ben Foster, the goalkeeper, will take it. We played 8 minutes in the second half. Chelsea 2, Watford 0 the score. Both the goals coming in the first period. Olivier Giroud in the 28th minute, and then Willian from the penalty spot late in that first half. As Ben Foster prepares to take the free kick. Out to this left-hand side. Deeney there ahead of James. Nods it down into the Chelsea penalty area. Only cleared as far as Will Hughes. Hughes with a pullback looking forward. Deeney was just off balance, and Barkley able to bring the ball away. Maybe that lack of sharpness that Matt Holland was talking about with Troy Deeney just showed itself there.
I think it was better though from Watford in terms of trying to get the second ball. Yeah, the gap between the midfield and Troy Deeney has been far too big for the majority of this game. But all of a sudden now they're just starting to try and get a bit closer to it. The ball was knocked forward. Deeney won the first header. Okay, it was cleared, but picking up the second ball, it was Will Hughes, and he was that little bit closer, which meant he could pick that second ball up.
If Watford were to get a goal and get themselves back in this game, then maybe some Chelsea nerves will be jangling, particularly given they dropped out of the top four for the first time since mid-October, even before a ball was kicked tonight. That after Manchester United beat Bournemouth by 5-2 live on TalkSport Game Day. You're listening to Chelsea against Watford on TalkSport with the next generation Nissan Juke. Together, let's move beyond. Watford seeing a bit more of the ball in the last couple of minutes, but not really able to do much with it. Ismaila Sarr has struggled up against the experienced Azpilicueta, just runs that out of play.
Yeah, on the halfway again, Mason Mount's got across and put him under pressure with Azpilicueta, and his skill was really good. He beat the two of them, but then his touch got away from him and kicked it out of play. It's hard for him.
Here's Reece James, who was tweeting in support of his former club Wigan Athletic during the week, having spent last season on loan at the DW Stadium. Wigan in all kinds of financial problems. We wish them all the best. Might not be the last EFL club to be forced into administration in the wake of COVID-19. It's a difficult situation, Matt, for a lot of clubs up and down the country right now.
Yeah, it is. Without supporters, League 1 and League 2 clubs are really going to suffer. If they go into next season without any fans inside the stadium, it's going to be so difficult for them. They rely on it. Premier League sides are still losing revenue without fans being here, but the majority of their income does come from television, and that isn't the case with League 1 and League 2 clubs. They rely heavily on the supporters being inside the ground.
Not the lesser lights in the Premier League, I think, have struggled not so much financially with the empty stadiums, but Eddie Howe touched on it when I was at Bournemouth in the week, that when things start to go badly, they need their 12th man to get them going. Chelsea haven't needed a 12th man tonight. Pulisic to Mason Mount, low cross into the area, turned behind by Dawson, right in front of his own goalkeeper, and he claps his hands together, Dawson, and just tries to cajole his Watford teammates. They're still very much on the back foot here. It's a Chelsea corner, their first of the second half, 2-0 to the home side.
Good defending, wasn't it, from Dawson? It's another dangerous ball. A lot of occasions tonight, Chelsea have tried that ball in between the back four and the goalkeeper, tried to drill it across the 6-yard box area. And Dawson stuck out a leg, managed to divert it over the top of his own crossbar.
Willian, scorer of the second Chelsea goal, will take this corner kick. Zuma has come forward from the back. Azpilicueta making a late run into the penalty area as well. It's over his head and into the arms of Foster, who dropped it initially but managed to gather it the second time of asking.
He's looking to get going, moving quickly. He can't. He's got nothing on. He looked up and there's 3 Chelsea men around him. That was the only target he had forward, and Sarr was isolated as well, so he thought, if I kick it, we're going to lose it. So he's had to wait before rolling it out to one of his back 4.
I thought you made a really pertinent point about that in the first half, in the absence of Gerard Deulofeu, which maybe we've taken for granted exactly the impact that he had, particularly in those early games under Nigel Pearson when Watford really climbed away from trouble. But they're right back in it now, and Deulofeu, who in an interview this week did urge his teammates to fight like lions here at Stamford Bridge, unable to play any further part in the season. It's been a big loss. Here's Willian, left corner of the Watford penalty area. Azpilicueta into Barkley. Can they get a shot off here? Giroud couldn't quite get the ball out from under his feet, but Barkley's won it straight back again. They're first to every loose ball, and then Azpilicueta looking for Willian, plays it out. It will be a Watford throw. And a chance for them just to catch their breath. We're going to see a change here. Early in the second half for Watford, Etienne Capoue is the player who is going off. And it's going to be Danny Welbeck, Matt Holland, who is coming on. So that's a positive move as far as Nigel Pearson is concerned.
It is, but Etienne Capoue's not at his best evening. He's on a yellow card as well. So understandable that he's the one that makes way for a more attacking player. I would imagine that presumably Will Hughes will go in alongside Chalobah. Danny Welbeck maybe on this left-hand side where Will Hughes was playing.
Yeah, looks that way. Will Hughes dropping back into the deeper midfield role that he has adopted for most of the season, and Welbeck on the left now, trying to get up in support of Troy Deeney. But a long time since he scored a Premier League goal, Danny Welbeck, way back in August 2018. He was an Arsenal player then.
There's going to be another substitution as well. I see Nigel Pearson and Craig Shakespeare in deep discussion.
Is it going to be Cleverley coming on?
No, it looks like he's given him sort of a nod to just increase the tempo of his warm-up.
Pereira warming up as well. Pereira's actually on the pitch down to the left. I'm not sure that's allowed. Of course, under the new regulations, both managers allowed to make up to 5 changes from their 9 allotted subs, but they have to be at no more than 3 intervals, 4 if you include half-time. But of course neither manager went to their benches during the break. Here is Reece James for Chelsea, who lead by 2-0. We've played 59 minutes here on Game Day on Talk Sport. Alex Crook and Matt Holland, your commentary team, and more Premier League action tomorrow. It comes thick and fast. Burnley at home to Sheffield United. Burnley looking to make a late charge for a Europa League place. That's a midday kickoff as Willian glides into the penalty area, trying to roll it forward for Giroud. Good save, Foster with the legs, as Giroud again just looked to roll the ball into the bottom corner, much like he did with the goal in the first half, but this time Foster shut the door.
Yeah, brilliant run from William, very direct, drove into the box, and he actually got a bit of fortune, because I think the pass was intended for someone else. He got a little deflection into Giroud's path.
Chelsea looking for the 3rd goal to put this game beyond any doubt. Barkley away from his marker Decore, out to Azpilicueta down the left-hand side. Willian always looks like he has all the time in the world, Willian, but as I say that, he gives the ball away to Firmino, and maybe Watford can break, but Willian back there snapping away to win possession once again for Chelsea. More Premier League football on Tuesday and Wednesday night as well across the TalkSport network. 6 o'clock Tuesday here on TalkSport, live and exclusive. Chelsea in action again as they go to Crystal Palace. At the same time on 2, Watford at home to Norwich, and then later that evening 8:15, Arsenal against Leicester. Arsenal looking to continue their winning run under Mikel Arteta, having picked up a valuable 3 points away at Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's an 8:15 kickoff. And on Wednesday night 6 o'clock, live and exclusive on TalkSport, Manchester City at home to Newcastle. Such a quick turnaround between matches. Watford are going to make at least 1, if not 2 changes.
Messina as well.
Tom Cleverley and Messina it is, who are about to be introduced. Why did he leave it 2 minutes? Why not make all 3 in one hit?
Well, I mean, discussions have been changing, haven't they, tactically, and what they can do, and little things develop, and Craig Shakespeare might have said something that just thought, okay, I'll try that.
Here's Ross Barkley, 10 yards outside the Watford penalty area, rolls it back into Azpilicueta, won by Hughes. Here now is Abdoulaye Doucouré, looking to get away from Azpilicueta, who's buzzing around as always. Covers plenty of grass, didn't he, over the course of the evening? Cesar Azpilicueta, very much the elder statesman now in this Chelsea team. He's won 6 major trophies in his time at Stamford Bridge. He's a real fans' favourite.
I think Chalobah will be one of those to make weight. He hasn't really impacted the game as much as he would like to have done. Just looking a little bit tired as well.
Messina, as we heard before kick-off, grew up worshipping Alessandro Del Piero. I bet Watford wish they could bring him off the bench right now, even at his current age probably. There is Kurt Zouma out to the left-hand side, and Willian. Chelsea still probing, looking for this third goal to wrap up the points. Willian gets it back from Mason Mount. Right-footed ball in by Azpilicueta. Giroud with a header. Didn't get there first time. It thought about the overhead kick, and then in the end nodded it down inside the penalty area. And Kabasele boots it upfield.
Barkley was on for him as well. When he headed it back, he just headed it into an area, but Barkley was just screaming for it about 5 yards away from him.
He's had a good game tonight, Olivier Giroud. So often the unsung hero. I was speaking to Theo Walcott actually, Matt, during the lockdown, and he was saying just how much he used to enjoy playing with Olivier Giroud at Arsenal, and made the point that even though he didn't score a goal, France wouldn't have won the World Cup without him in their ranks. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good forward, isn't he? His hold-up play and his general play is very good.
Here's Willian. Giroud will be a target. Giroud left-footed volley, swept towards goal, blocked by the yellow jerseys. Cleared only as far as N'Golo Kanté, who shoots, and it's charged down by Abdoulaye Doucouré. Chelsea going up through the gears here once again. 18 minutes gone in the second half. 2-0 they lead on game day on TalkSport. Barkley out to the left.
No real sign of a Watford comeback. Kepa's not had a save to make.
Which is probably lucky for Chelsea. The way that he played in midweek. Got a lot of stick, didn't it?
There's a few.
I know one or two
Rudiger
Chelsea
and
fans.
Alonso both got it, and they paid the price with their being left out tonight.
One or two of my Chelsea supporting friends really aren't fans of Kepa Arrizabalaga. Cleverly about to come on here for Watford. So too Messina. Troy Deeney is taking off the captain's armband. He doesn't look particularly enamoured with the decision, Matt Holland.
No, I mean, I suppose he's not enamoured because he's wondering who's going to take his place up front. But I don't think you can have too many complaints. I don't think he's played particularly well. I say he looked a little bit short, match fitness wise.
It's a straight swap. Messina coming on for Kiko Femenya. So Danny Welbeck will now go and play that lone striking role. It's now 1 goal in his last 9 games, by the way, for Troy Deeney. Turned 32 on Monday, but not the belated birthday present that he would have been hoping for from his trip to West London. James plays the 1-2 with Pulisic down the Chelsea right. Barkley with a cross into the area. Mount was the intended target, which skips away and behind for a Watford goal kick. We've played 20 minutes in the second half. It remains Chelsea 2, Watford 0.
Another great ball in from Ross Barkley. I think he's had a good game as well tonight. Always available. No changes yet for Frank Lampard. He's yet to go to his bench. I'm sure he will.
Just to rest players ahead of that game away at Crystal Palace on Tuesday. Palace probably the one side in the Premier League that at the moment you quite fancy playing against. The one side who really had nothing at stake now in these remaining matches. Here's Danny Welbeck, one of the few sides I should say. Welbeck towards the Chelsea penalty area. He's forced to go all the way back to Kabasele, just inside the home half of the field. Here's Doucouré now inside the centre circle. Dawson forward in support. Messina clips it towards the area, looking for Will Hughes. Good positioning from Reece James. He heads the ball clear, and now Barkley forces Hughes to poke it through his legs and out for a Chelsea throw midway inside the Chelsea half of the field. It's currently Chelsea 2, Watford 0. For the latest odds, head to the Betfair Exchange, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now You can get 1.02 to back Chelsea to win. It's 460 if you fancy Watford to come from behind and take all 3 points, and 50 if you're backing the draw. That's all thanks to Betfair Exchange. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Chalobah coming forward into the area. Thought he might shoot for a moment. He's played it out to the left-hand side of Welbeck instead.
Can't say I know what those numbers mean, Alex, but what I would say is it means it's pretty difficult for Watford to get back into it.
It means you'd be a rich man if you put a fair chunk on Watford to win and they somehow did it, but we wouldn't encourage that. Here's Willian away from Mariappa. Really high up the pitch there, Adrian Mariappa, momentarily. Here's Reece James now for Chelsea in the right back position.
They have got bodies further up the pitch, Watford. Just the substitutions have made a difference. Cleverly's energy getting up the pitch. Sarr's tried to get a bit closer to Danny Welbeck. They've picked up more loose balls, more second balls.
Watford, remember, ending last season in the FA Cup final. A nightmare start for new campaign, 1 win in 16. I mean, when you look at that, the fact they're still not in the bottom 3, well, they would take that, wouldn't they, given the start they made.
And they've only won 1 of the last 10. So the start in their recent form has been really poor.
So barring half a dozen games in the middle when Nigel Pearson first came in, it's been a campaign to forget, really, as far as the Hornets are concerned. Here's Barkley, good ball into Willian. He's got space on the edge of the penalty area. He shifts the ball onto his right foot. He shoots towards the corner, and it's punched wide by Foster. Good save by Ben Foster. Just for a moment, Willian looked like he was going to be celebrating yet another Chelsea goal.
Well, the last 10 minutes or so, Willian and Pulisic have swapped sides. Willian's playing on the left-hand side and Pulisic on the right. If I said to you, what, as a defender, what do you stop Willian doing?
Coming inside.
Don't let him come inside and get a shot away. That's the first thing you'd say. It's exactly what they allow him to do. Bends it towards the far post. It wasn't quite in the corner, and it was a save that you'd expect Ben Foster to make. But I mean, it's just terrible defending to allow him to come in and get his shot away.
Willian's going to take the corner. In it goes, and the header from Zuma straight into the arms of Foster, who clutches it well on the goal line.
Free header, decent header, kept it down. Foster has to scramble away to his left-hand side. Looked like he might have dropped it at first, but did hold on to it.
He hadn't scored a Premier League goal for Chelsea, Kurt Zuma, since September 2015. His eyes are lighting up there. Good delivery again by Willian. There has been some speculation, Matt, about Willian's future here at Stamford Bridge, but he's a player that Frank Lampard will be desperate to keep for the long haul, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of competition for places next season in forward areas for Chelsea, but the form that he's shown warrants him staying, and Frank Lampard will be having that conversation, I'm sure. We know that Pedro's going, so Willian will be one I'm sure that he'd like to keep.
Olivier Giroud has taken a whack there on the left knee. He's down receiving treatment. The rest of the players have come over for the second half drinks break. You're listening to Chelsea against Watford on TalkSport with Now TV. Don't forget you can watch Newcastle against West Ham and Liverpool against Aston Villa live tomorrow with a Now TV Sky Sports Pass from just £9.99. Search Now TV. Shaping up to be another intriguing Sunday in the Premier League. I mentioned some of the live games we've got coming your way. Don't forget we owe you home of the EFL as well. Monday night, the League One playoff semi-finals will reach their conclusion at 5 o'clock. Oxford against Portsmouth, 1-1. It finished in the first leg at Fratton Park last night. Jim Proudfoot and Chris Wellham, your commentary team for that one. And at 7:30, also live and exclusive on TalkSport 2, Wycombe taking on Fleetwood. Wycombe with a commanding lead from their first leg. Ian Danter and David Connolly will be your commentary team there. Two sets of players just getting back into their positions. It's going to be a free kick for Chelsea for that foul on Olivier Giroud. Looks like Frank Lampard is just contemplating making one or two changes. Jody Morris underneath the blue Chelsea baseball cap, big puffer jacket, is deep in conversation with the Chelsea manager.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he didn't. Most sides have been quite readily going to their bench and switching things around, trying to give players a rest. Burnley, actually, funnily enough, I've seen them. They've only made one sub in the last two games. And they've had a lot of youngsters on the bench, but
Yeah, I did their game on Monday night actually, and their bench, they'd only played 4 minutes between them in the Premier League. Here's Pulisic.
Not quite the same with Chelsea though, is it? You know, their bench is slightly different, a bit more experience there, so I'll be surprised if Frank Lampard doesn't make any changes.
And Tammy Abraham would be anxious to get some more minutes, and maybe would fancy a goal against this opposition. He's on the bench. Pedro there as well. Loftus-Cheek, who came on in the week. Billy Gilmore, highly rated.
I think it could be the front three change. Loftus-Cheek, Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abraham. I think it could be all three.
Pulisic was just flagged offside there as that attack began to build momentum, so Watford have taken the free kick. He's cleverly off the bench, down the right hand side to Sarr. Can he get across into the area? Yes he can. It was well defended by Christensen, because Welbeck was waiting to tap it in at the near post. I don't think Kepa was going to get there. Christensen took the initiative and just slid the ball behind for a corner. Watford's first of the second half.
Read the danger well there, Christensen. That was a dangerous ball in, one of the few that we've seen from Watford, right across the near post. And it may well have got into the goalkeeper's hands, but he was taking no chances, and don't blame him.
Will Hughes is going to take the corner. Andrew Pearson will feel this is Watford's best hope of getting back into the game, and it comes. Zuma heads it down and away. They've defended these set pieces much better tonight, Chelsea, it has to be said, as Azpilicueta completes the clearance, and Pulisic has outmuscled Decore. Massini was back there. It's going to be a free kick Watford's way. I'm not sure if it's for a foul by Pulisic.
Yeah, a little shove from Pulisic in the back.
So Massini will take this. He's just chucked it forward another couple of yards. 28 minutes played in the second half. 2-0 Chelsea lead. Beaten West Ham in midweek. They haven't lost back-to-back games in the Premier League since December. I mean, that's been one good sign this season, that when they have suffered a setback, and there have been a few stumbles along the way, they have usually managed to bounce back at the first time of asking.
Yeah, I think now the target, 2 goals for the good, clean sheet. Let's not give anything away. Let's keep the opposition out. That'll be what Frank Lampard will be targeting now.
Loftus-Cheek and Tammy Abraham definitely about to come on next time the ball is out of play. As Messina is going to shoot here from 45 yards, and it bounces kindly into the arms of Kepa Arrizabalaga. That was ambitious, Matt, to say the least.
Yeah, it opened up for him, and he thought, why not? It would have taken something incredibly special.
Well, why not is because you're a left back for a start.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first save he's had to make though, Kepa.
It'll go down as a shot on target. Callum Hudson-Odoi has now joined Abraham and Loftus-Cheek on the touchline, so it will be that triple change that Matt was alluding to. Danny Welbeck tries to make progress into the Chelsea half, but sandwiched between Conte and Christensen. Chelsea get the ball clear. Receive the free kick, which Messina wanted to take quickly.
It has been better from Watford. I'm not saying that it's been perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but there's been a bit more from them in this second period. They're just starting to now pin Chelsea back, but have a few moments. This is a good position as well.
Yeah, Chalabar and Will Hughes are the 2 players over the ball. There are 5 Watford players ready to attack this. Chalabar has walked over it, so it's a left-footed delivery from Hughes, hanging in the air and headed over the bar by Dawson. Clever free kick routine. Dawson timed his run late, but couldn't quite generate enough power on the header to really trouble Arrizabalaga. It was over anyway. It's going to be a goal kick for Chelsea, and here come the changes, man.
Yeah, he was under pressure, wasn't he, from Zuma and Azpilicueta. Got there first though. It was a decent effort. Good ball in as well from Will Hughes. Yes, the changes. Looks like it's the front 3. Willian. No, is it Mason Mount who's making way?
I think no, William's number was up for Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah, Willian, Giroud and Mason Mount, it looks like.
That'd be good news for all the people who put Christian Pulisic in their fantasy football team this week. He's staying on.
Are you one?
I'm not, but I know TalkSport's Sam Matterface is, and he's driving back from his game at Molineux hoping for a Pulisic goal.
He's had an assist already.
Loftus-Cheek then, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Tammy Abraham, the players who come on. So Abraham was replaced Giroud through the middle. Hudson-Odoi on the left-hand side, and Loftus-Cheek will just go into midfield alongside Conte and Barkley. I left Saka on my bench today. He got that goal, didn't he?
You're not the only one.
Didn't have Mason Green, but that was my transfer in this week, so I'll take that. Here's Barkley, midway inside the Watford half, shrugging off Will Hughes like he wasn't there, and turning away again from Hughes. And I think out of frustration there, Hughes just tripped him from behind. It's going to be a free kick.
Yeah, been beaten twice. He thought, he's not going to beat me a third time. I'm going to bring him down.
Here is Barkley, starting to look really at home at Stamford Bridge, and you have to give Frank Lampard credit for the way that he's coached this team this season. He knew he didn't have the comfort blanket, certainly in the summer of a transfer window. He had to get the best out of the players at his disposal. One of those, N'Golo Conte, has just gone down his haunches, but you can see improvement from individuals like Barkley over the course of the campaign. Yeah,
I think he's shown faith in certain players, and because of that he's been rewarded with more confident performances. Some of the younger players have got a lot of minutes. Reece James, Mason Mount, Tomori, who's not in the team at the moment, who's still coming back from his injury. I think that Chelsea fans will be quite pleased with what they've seen this year from their team, and with what's coming in the summer as well. They probably won't be the only additions. I think there's a lot to look forward to if you're a Chelsea fan.
N'Golo Conte unable to continue. Looks like he's picked up some kind of muscle problem, so Billy Gilmour,
there's another one,
is coming on. He's tiny, isn't he? I mean, we're a long way from the pitch here, but Billy Gilmour, so small in stature, but so comfortable on the ball. He was taken off at half-time in the FA Cup game against Leicester when things weren't really going Chelsea's way, but he's played in the Premier League, and that FA Cup game against Liverpool in particular, he's looked a real talent, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good player. He is a good player. Confident, wants to get on the ball, big heart.
Roberto Pereira will also be coming on. Scored more goals from the bench than any player in Watford's Premier League history. They need some goals now. They're 2-0 down, and they've only got 12 minutes to save themselves here on Game Day on TalkSport.
I like the idea of the fact that you're allowed to use 5 subs, and particularly when you've got so many games and you're cramming it into such a short period. It does disrupt the flow of the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just has that pre-season friendly feel about it, doesn't it, when the managers are making so many changes. Here's Hughes trying to help it forward to Sarr. It got there. Sarr may have been through on goal. Hughes has then been fouled by Barkley. They continue their wrestling match.
Just thinking there.
Well, they're taking the free kick quickly. Welbeck was in, but the free kick taken too quickly for Kevin Friend's liking.
You talk about Frank Lampard and how he's put faith in youngsters. N'Golo Conte goes off. Jorginho, natural replacement? No, he's gone for the youngster, Billy Gilmour.
It's a good game to introduce Gilmour, though, isn't it? 2-0 up, cruising.
It is, but a penny for Jorginho's thoughts. If you're Jorginho, N'Golo Conte goes off, what are you thinking?
Yes, a decent shout. I suppose that's another battle when you're manager at one of the top clubs, keeping everybody happy. The extra subs do give you a bit more leeway to do that. Roberto Pereira is going to have to wait to make his entrance until this free kick is taken. We've got 10.5 minutes remaining according to the big screen away to my left hand side. Watford 2-0 down, but with a free kick here within shooting distance. Chalabar maybe fancies a goal on his old stomping ground. He leaves it actually, and it was Messina who curled it around the wall, but easy save for Aretha Balaga at the near post.
Yeah, very comfortable, very comfortable. Never troubled him at all.
Do you think the 5 subs does favour the bigger clubs?
Yeah,
with the deeper squads?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. A bit more quality, deeper down, able to make 5 subs, must help you.
Because we haven't seen too many surprise results, have we, since the restart? The smaller sides leaving the big teams with bloody noses.
I guess midweek, West Ham versus Chelsea was the first of them.
But West Ham are better than their Premier League positions suggest, aren't they?
I get that. And West Ham do have a history of beating Chelsea. They've done it, well, they did the double this year.
Yeah, they did. I mean, here at Stamford Bridge earlier in the campaign when David Martin That's such a heroic debut in the West Ham goal. Here's Billy Gilmore trying to bring it down. He's had his pocket picked by Chalobah. Chalobah into Danny Welbeck. Welbeck can get Watford back in the game. Good save, Kepa Arrizabalaga. Wasn't the cleanest of strikes from Danny Welbeck, but it was steered towards the corner, and Arrizabalaga managed to claw it to safety.
He didn't get enough power on it, Danny Welbeck. You can see exactly what he was trying to do. He opened his body up, trying to find that far corner. And Kepa read it. Not quite the desired power. He was able to get down and make the save with his left arm. That's their best chance of the game, without any doubt.
They would have set up a grandstand finish here at Stamford Bridge. Live on Game Day on TalkSport. Chelsea 2, Watford 0.
Billy Gilmore would have been pleased to see Kepa make that save as well, because he was the one who lost the ball on the edge of his own box.
And he just switched off, didn't he? Momentarily, and almost cost his side a goal. And if they did get one back now, Watford, and Chelsea would be a bit nervous.
Yeah, it'd make it interesting, because the result really hasn't been in doubt for most of this game.
Don't forget, you can have your say on all of today's events here at Stamford Bridge, and indeed the rest of the Premier League and EFL action, by calling the Sports Bar Weekend. Adam Cattrall and Darren Bent, a member of the Premier League's 100 Club, will be taking your calls. Plenty to debate up and down the country. Here's Christensen, plays it to Kurt Zouma. Chelsea 8 minutes away from a clean sheet, 8 minutes away from return to the top four. That will be the main objective from Frank Lampard, after they dropped out following Manchester United's comfortable win in the end against Bournemouth earlier today at Old Trafford, live on TalkSport. Despite falling behind early in that game, United coming back to win by 5-2, including a couple of crackers from Mason Greenwood. Martial's goal wasn't bad either. Here comes the Watford change. Roberto Pereira is coming on, and Ismail Assar is making a dejected walk all the way from the far side around the perimeter of the pitch. It's just not been his evening, Matt.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. I mean, he's not seen enough of the ball in forward positions. I don't know whether Nigel Pearson's a bit frustrated with him. I don't know whether he wanted to come off across the pitch. And he's just walked off on the side and he's walking around. He didn't look too happy with that, though. But look, there's some big games coming up, and he'll want him fit and firing for those 3 games against relegation rivals.
We should talk about Frank Lampard's team selections, because managers live and die by the big calls they made. Olivier Giroud preferred to Tammy Abraham from the start. He scored.
Justified selection. I mean, I think he's had an excellent game.
Reece James in for Alonso at fullback.
Can't argue with that either.
Not put a foot wrong. And Kurt Zouma, I'm being told by our producer Deck that he's won 86% of his aerial duels over the course of the evening. Well,
I mean, he had three aerial duels. I mean, he's had very little to do, if I'm brutally honest. There's been, Troy Deeney, I said, didn't have his best night. Normally he'd be much more of a handful than Chelsea have had to deal with this evening. It's been a fairly comfortable night for the back four.
Does Troy Deeney need to be at his best for Watford to be at their best?
I think it helps, because when he's at his best, he's in the face of the centre halves. He gives them no time. He's backing into them. He's winning his aerial duels. He's holding the ball up better than he has done tonight. He's bringing others into play. By holding it up, it gives time for the midfield and the wide forwards to get up in support of him. To say he hasn't had his best night this evening.
Here's Barkley on the left wing for Chelsea. Abraham and Hudson-Odoi in the centre. Pulisic might get a shot off here. Oh, he's hurdled 2 tackles. He's still got the ball. Pulisic, he's gone down inside the penalty area. Referee says no penalty.
Well, I'll have a look at that, I'm sure. He's been quiet, Pulisic, for 15-20 minutes. We haven't seen an awful lot of him. But I'm talking about a player who could just inject that little bit of burst into his game. Well, he's just dropped a shoulder, sold a dummy, got away from his man. Was there a shove in the back? That's the question.
It was minimal if there was, I think. I don't think there's going to be enough for VAR to overturn.
They're having a good look at it.
It was Cabaselli, wasn't it? I think just an arm in the back.
Yeah, I mean, VAR having a look at it.
I would be surprised if this is overturned, but it's just flashed up on the big screen that they are checking for a possible penalty. We're peering at a replay a couple of rows in front of us. What's your gut feeling, Matt Holland?
My eyesight's not that good. It's too far away, that little screen.
Well, it looks like the decision stands, no penalty. I just didn't feel there was enough of a push in the back. perhaps Pulisic was already off balance, having bamboozled a couple of Watford players with a funky footwork.
He was adamant, wasn't he? He went down straight away and looked at the referee.
Here he is again, Pulisic, in the penalty area. Can he get a shot off this time? No, good defending by Torsen on the edge of the 6-yard box, and then it's lofted clear to halfway. We moved into the final 4 minutes of normal time. Here on Game Day on TalkSport, Chelsea 2 goals to good against Watford under the lights in West London. Here at Stamford Bridge, empty Stamford Bridge, of course. Those Chelsea fans watching and listening will be delighted with the way their side have bounced back from defeat against West Ham in the week.
It's been a really good performance, professional performance, hasn't it, from Chelsea as well. Very solid. Good tempo about their play.
They've already lost 10 games in the Premier League this season, Chelsea. They haven't lost 11 in a single campaign this century. That's not a record that Frank Lampard will want on his CV, although there have been extenuating circumstances with the transfer embargo and the fact that he's tried to bring through the young talent. I guess the fear, they've made these 2 big signings already, there may well be more, Matt Holland, is upsetting the balance that he's created in the dressing room.
I don't think you worry about that particularly. You've got to worry about winning games, and actually if he does bring a lot of players in, that means there'll be a few going out as well.
Here's Tammy Abraham, hasn't seen too much of the ball since coming on, but he's fired it low along the ground there, fizzed into the feet of James. Here's Hudson-Odoi now taking over. Back to James, who might get a cross in. Looking for Abraham, it's towards the far post instead, and it's over the crossbar. What a chance that was.
Loftus-Cheek.
It was Loftus-Cheek underneath it.
Well, he's done well to keep it out. It was great defend on the far post from Loftus-Cheek. What a ball in that was.
I think it was meant for Abraham. He left it. Maybe Loftus-Cheek wasn't expecting that, and he got right underneath it and heads it into the stand behind the goal.
He's playing in midfield, and he's made a brilliant run from deep to get in at that far post. The ball is perfection from Reece James. He's done that 5 or 6 times tonight. Not always got it right. A couple of times it's been too close to Ben Foster. On this occasion, absolutely perfect. Loftus-Cheek's done well to keep it out.
Well, he did come off the bench to score in this fixture last season. He maybe should have repeated the feat there. Ruben Loftus-Cheek. A let-off for Watford, and goal difference could yet play a part down at the bottom of the table. So I guess if Nigel Pearson is looking for any positives, it's the fact that they haven't capitulated in this second half and really taken a beating here at Stamford Bridge tonight.
I think he'd be pleased with the second half performance, or I say pleased. It's been much better than the first period. First half they were nowhere near it, they were miles off, and that would have been very frustrating for him. But the second half they've shown a bit about them, and I think it'll set them up nicely for the 3 games that are coming up.
Another reminder that Adam Cattrall and Darren Bent are standing by to take your calls in the phone in on the Sports Bar Weekender. Any Chelsea fans, how pleased have you been with your team's performance tonight? Watford supporters, are you starting to worry now? 6 points from 11 matches now it will be. Fewer than any team in the Premier League. Bournemouth, Kennedy Howe stage a miracle survival act given the really daunting run of fixtures you've got to come. And what about Norwich City? What next for Daniel Farke? Surely after that 1-0 defeat at home by Brighton, life in the Championship beckons. I do wonder, Matt, if Daniel Farke has escaped a bit of criticism this season. Here's Azpilicueta dispossessing Pereira high up the field. Pulisic, chance to make it 3. Good block at the near post. He tried to roll it past the goalkeeper. Excellent defending by Cabaselli. After Watford have been caught in possession right on the edge of their own 18-yard box. Here's Welbeck now at the other end, running at Reece James. Welbeck shifting inside onto his right foot. Pereira. We're into the last 15 seconds of normal time. Chelsea lead Watford by 2 goals to 0. Chalobah rolls it forward towards the penalty area, and Welbeck, who is away from Christensen, onto the byline. Danny Welbeck, can he squeeze one in here? Hughes with a shot and wide. So close again there, Watford, to getting back in the game.
Oh wow, what a bit of skill that was as well on the byline from Danny Welbeck. He's gone past his man so easy. Similar earlier actually to the Harry Maguire, when Harry Maguire was beaten on the touchline by Junior Stanislas. This time he didn't go for the near post himself, he tried to pull it back and it was inches away.
4 added minutes at the end of the 90. We've played 30 seconds of those already. Chelsea lead Watford by 2 goals to 0. It's going to be 10 visits to Stamford Bridge without a victory for Watford. They have had a couple of gilt-edged chances in this second half. They've not been able to take it. Could have changed the complexion of the evening. Here's Pulisic though, as it's punted forward. Pulisic running at Cabaselli. He wants to get a shot off here, Pulisic, from the edge of the area, surely. In fact, he dinks it into the box, looking at Hudson-Odoi, and Cabaselli with the acrobatic clearance away. Loftus-Cheek now brings it down on the chest. Turning away from danger, Pulisic. Low cross from Aspilicueta. It's Ross Barkley to make it 3-0 for Chelsea. And crown a super victory for Frank Lampard's men. It's been a long time since Ross Barkley scored a Premier League goal. It's his first since October of 2018. It seals a comprehensive win. They have seen Manchester United's demolition of Bournemouth, and they have raised it live on TalkSport. Chelsea back in the Champions League places. Ross Barkley makes it Chelsea 3, Watford 0.
I think that's a deserved goal as well for Ross Barkley for his endeavours tonight. I think he's had a decent game. Good work down that left-hand side. For Chelsea, I think it was Aspilicueta in the end that pulled the ball back into his path, and he thumps it past Ben Foster, who has absolutely no chance.
Well, there are some slumped shoulders out there now as far as Watford are concerned. They have been better in this second half. They showed more endeavour, they've showed more fight, they've created more chances, but eventually and ultimately it's going to be another defeat for Nigel Pearson and for the struggling Hornets. How big a game they've got now on Tuesday night. It's live on TalkSport 2 at home to Norwich. We're entering must-win territory, Matt Holland.
Well, I keep saying that about teams at the bottom. Every time they get a fixture that he feels winnable. Bournemouth last week against Newcastle, I'm thinking they've got to win this if they've got any chance of survival. Then everyone else loses, so they're all still in it. But crikey, when you look at the fixtures, you think they have to get 3 points.
Oh, great burst by Pulisic in the penalty area. He's gone down again, grappling with Cabaselli. It's gone behind for a goal kick this time. He has been a real live wire, Christian Pulisic, all night.
Again, he's looking at Kevin Friend, thinking it should have a penalty. There's no VAR check this time.
I think it was a hopeful appeal more than anything else. It's got to be a contender, I think, the man of the match. I'll leave you to pick the bones out of that in a couple of minutes, as Will Hughes sweeps it clear for Watford.
I won't spoil the surprise.
40 seconds have added on time being played out here at Stamford Bridge. You're listening to Game Day on TalkSport. We are on the home stretch now. An action-packed Saturday afternoon. Sensational Saturday, you could call it. Here's Callum Hudson-Odoi. Some of Chelsea's footballers bordered on sensational at times tonight. Can't get away from Messina this time, Hudson-Odoi. Watford win it back with only 10 seconds remaining, plus maybe a few more for the Chelsea celebrations that followed the goal from Barkley. Welbeck is offside. It's going to be a Chelsea free kick, which they won't have time to take. Happy anniversary, Frank Lampard. The Chelsea manager marks a year in charge at Stamford Bridge with 3 precious points in pursuit of Champions League football next season. Olivier Giroud opening the scoring early in the first half. That was doubled just before the break. William from the penalty spot, and Ross Barkley in stoppage time. Watford remain deep in relegation turmoil. It's another defeat for Nigel Pearson and for the Hornets. Full time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 3, Watford 0.